Now, after Imran Khan lost the no-trust vote, political drama in Pakistan's National Assembly continues. Just yesterday, in a late-night political drama, Imran Khan lost the no-trust motion by 174 votes, making Khan the first Pakistani Prime Minister to be voted out. After a core committee meeting that was chaired by Imran Khan, PTI has now raised objections on Shehbaz Sharif's nomination papers. Fawad Chaudhry has threatened that PTI would resign and launch a massive campaign if at all Shehbaz and his nomination papers are not rejected. Although there is no consensus on PTI on the proposed resignations as yet, Chaudhry also said that the only solution to this crisis, or only solution, is for new round of elections. Meanwhile, celebrations were witnessed right outside Nawaz Sharif's London residence that turned violent as Imran supporters jumped in the fray. PMLN leader Shehbaz Sharif and PTI Shah Mahmood Qureshi's nomination papers for the post of Prime Ministers has been accepted at the moment.
कोर कमेटी की रिकमेंडेशन ये है कि वज़ीर-ए-आज़म इमरान खान को उन्होंने ये कहा है कि हमें असम्बलियों से मुस्ताफ़ी हो जाना चाहिए और उसके लिए हम कौमी असम्बली से शुरू कर रहे हैं। अगर शहबाज शरीफ के कागजात के ऊपर हमारे ऑब्जेक्शंस नहीं होते तो कल ही हम ये रेजिग्नेशन जो है वो दे देंगे। आज रात को पार्लिमानी कमेटी का पार्लिमानी पार्टी का इजलास यहीं बनीगाला में तलब कर लिया गया है। पार्लिमानी पार्टी में ज़्यादातर इस्तीफ़े वो पहले ही प्राइम मिनिस्टर साहब को दे चुके हैं।
All right, let me quickly cut across to Cover Naeem, Pakistan journalist from Islamabad. Cover, we saw protests erupting in London outside Nawaz Sharif's residence. The man who is currently in exile, who has a mountain of corruption cases on him. You have his party members, the PMLN supporters, who are celebrating outside his residence post this ouster of Imran Khan, while you have PTI supporters also jumping in the fray and clashes that resulted in London. One can only imagine what's going to happen in Islamabad in a few moments from now.
Actually, the situation is quite different. We cannot compare the condition of London with the condition of any city in Pakistan.
Really?
We have seen a number of times in London that people come and chant slogans outside Nawaz Sharif's residence or whatever leader who visits London from Pakistan. People enjoy freedom of speech in London more independently than they can do in Pakistan. Secondly, it's not easy in Pakistan to access leaders in their houses. So the things are not very similar here in Pakistan and in London. Secondly, what we are expecting is surely there is going to be protests, and today there's been a call given by PTI to its workers and its supporters, voters, to come to the D Chowk and show some protests against the decision which has been taken by the National Assembly of Pakistan. And yes, people are leaving for D Chowk, but as you know, it's the month of Ramadan, and people are more likely to gather there after the Isha prayer, the last prayer of the day, Muslim prayer of the day. So we hope that if which is least likely and which is almost unlikely, if Imran Khan joins the protest, there would be a very huge show at the D Chowk, but it's unlikely and least likely to happen. But people are gathering at D Chowk, but it's not as huge as there used to be in the past when Imran Khan used to lead the crowd and he used to held 126 days dharna or some other jalsas which he did in his own presence.
You know, right now we're expecting that protests will break out, as per the words of many of the PTI leaders, in moments from now in Islamabad. Is that right? Where is the scheduled protests that will be taking place? Is the security or whoever is responsible for security right now, is the army responsible for security? Have they been given the task and responsibility to ensure law and order? Who is responsible for security in case the situation breaks out?
In case the situation breaks out, then there are a number of institutions which governments use if situation is under control, so they are not going to ask anyone else other than police. But if the situation goes out of control, the police security will be beefed up. Army is the army comes at the very last moments when the situation goes very horrific. So we do not expect, and we are not expecting any such situation here in Islamabad, because the situation is not very harsh here, because whatever happened was constitutional, and it's just a power show, and it's just Imran Khan doing protests just to get his protest registered. Otherwise, there is no any threat to him, or there is no any threat to system. So this is why we cannot expect that army is going to intervene or rangers is going to intervene. As of now, situation is quite under control, and people are under control because people also know that the situation what happened was inside National Assembly of Pakistan, so nothing unconstitutional happened to their leader. Everything what happened was completely constitutional.
Okay, so you're saying these protests are in line with what's been planned, and it's very unlikely that it could go out of control. But give us an understanding, where are protests expected at this moment? Is Imran Khan is he expected to be coming out and joining in these protests? Who are those top leaders who possibly will be part of this massive show? It's more or less a show of strength.
No leader has confirmed his presence at the protest yet. And when it comes to Imran Khan, it is least likely, and it is almost unlikely that he is going to join the protest. So as far as your question is concerned, in which cities and which places these protests are going to happen? So PTI has asked these workers throughout Pakistan to gather on the streets, to come out on the streets to get their protests registered. And when it comes to Rawalpindi and Islamabad, so D Chowk is the favorite place for the PTI workers and supporters, so they are going to gather at D Chowk tonight after Aftar and after Isha. So people have started coming, but still we are waiting for the people or the number of protesters to increase, which is yet to happen.
Right. Kamar, thank you very much for joining us with those details. We know that in Pakistan, a massive show of strength is due to take place in just moments from now. We're going to continue tracking those developments. But in the meanwhile, the incoming Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has signalled at better relationship with neighbouring country, India. Prime Minister designate of the United Opposition in Pakistan, Shehbaz Sharif, has said that he wants peace with India, but also added that it would not be possible without the resolution of Kashmir issue. Talking to Geo News in Islamabad, Shehbaz Sharif has said that his first priority was national harmony, and the new cabinet would be formed in consultation with the opposition leaders. It may be recalled that PMLN President Shehbaz Sharif has submitted his nomination papers for the post of the Leader of the House. The National Assembly Secretariat has convened a meeting of the National Assembly tomorrow at 2 p.m. for this vote, where they're going to be voting the next Leader of the House, which is the next Prime Minister of Pakistan. On the question of Nawaz Sharif's return and the cases against him, Shehbaz Sharif has said that Nawaz's cases would be dealt with according to law. No influence will be used. It will be pursued legally. Meanwhile, Pakistan has witnessed first such incident of a Prime Minister, Imran Khan, who's been voted out through a no-confidence motion. Will Imran's unceremonious exit change, and this change of guard here in Pakistan's regime, could mean one more turn in its relationship with India? Here's what it means to our country.
The resolution for vote of no confidence against Mr. Imran Khan, the Prime Minister of Islamic Republic of Pakistan, has been passed by a majority of the total membership of the National Assembly.
April 10th will be etched in Pakistan's history. The country witnessed first such incident of a Prime Minister being ousted after losing a no-confidence vote. The month-long battle, however, has ended in more uncertainty. Pakistan's political upheaval raises a pertinent question. Who will be next Prime Minister? Imran's unceremonious exit has created a vacuum in Pakistan's power structure.
रास्ता वहीं से निकलेगा वतन की मट्टी मुझे एड़ियां रगड़ने दे मुझे यकीन है चश्मा यहीं से निकलेगा
PMLN chief Shehbaz Sharif, the younger brother of three-time Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, is all set to become the next Prime Minister of Pakistan. The change of guard in Pakistan could mean one more turn in its relations with India. New Delhi's main concern is Pakistan-sponsored terror in Jammu and Kashmir. While Shahbaz Sharif has mainly confined himself to domestic politics, his brother Nawaz had been keen to improve ties with India. However, Imran Khan's praise for India and his insinuation of a US hand in his removal as Prime Minister could make the pitch hostile for Indo-Pak ties.
हिंदुस्तान को देख लें, इतनी किसी की जुर्रत नहीं, किसी की जुर्रत थी कि इस तरह की बात करते हैं हिंदुस्तान में. यूरोपियन यूनियन के जब एम्बेसडर्स ने यहाँ बिल्कुल प्रोटोकॉल के खिलाफ स्टेटमेंट दी कि जी पाकिस्तान को रूस के खिलाफ स्टेटमेंट देनी चाहिए, क्या वो हिंदुस्तान में कह सकते हैं? क्या उनकी जुर्रत है हिंदुस्तान में ऐसी स्टेटमेंट देते हुए? क्योंकि हिंदुस्तान एक सॉवरन मुल्क है.
With just a year to go for elections in Pakistan and tempers high in the country, a meaningful outreach between India and Pakistan may take time. Now the positives. The two biggest peace outreach from New Delhi, Atal Bihari Vajpayee's bus ride to Lahore and Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Christmas stopover in Pakistan happened during Nawaz Sharif's rule. Each time Sharif was scuttled by the army there. Shahbaz is known to have a better relationship with the Pakistan army, which controls its foreign and defense policy. With Pakistan on the verge of bankruptcy, the army is unlikely to raise the heat in ties with India. Recently, its army chief, General Qamar Javed Bajwa, had sought dialogue with India to resolve all issues, including Kashmir. He said diplomacy should be used to resolve all outstanding issues with India to keep the flames of fire away from the region. All said, any real change in Indo-Pak ties may have to wait till next elections in Pakistan. Bureau Report, India Today.
No Prime Minister has so far in Pakistan completed a full 5-year tenure in Pakistan's 75 years of history, a trend extended with the removal of Imran Khan, who's lost his position through the no-trust vote. Pakistan, a parliamentary democracy there for most of its history, has had a total of 29 Prime Ministers so far since 1947, one of whom took on the role twice in 1 year. Here's more on the political history of Prime Ministers in the country.
1951, Rawalpindi. Pakistan's first Prime Minister, Liaquat Ali Khan, assassinated. (1958), Islamabad. Iskandar Ali Mirza imposed martial law, collapsing Feroz Khan's administration. 1977, Lahore High Court. Pakistan Prime Minister Zulfikar Ali Bhutto sentenced to death by Pakistan court. 1999, Islamabad. Pakistan General Pervez Musharraf issued martial law and Nawaz Sharif is deposed. There's a jinx that shadows every Prime Minister of Pakistan. Nobody who has occupied the highest executive seat in Pakistan has completed a full term of 5 years. Cricketer turned politician Imran Khan has now become another Prime Minister on that unfortunate list, but the first one to be ousted by losing a no-confidence vote.
Votes in favor of the resolution. Consequently, the resolution for vote of no confidence against Mr. Imran Khan, the Prime Minister of Islamic Republic of Pakistan, has been passed by a majority of the total membership of the National Assembly.
After independence, Muhammad Ali Jinnah invited Liaquat Ali Khan to form the government. Liaquat was assassinated at a rally in Rawalpindi in 1951. A year before his tenure was to end, Sir Khwaja Nizamuddin was the first Bengali Prime Minister. After failing to handle the 1953 Lahore riots and unable to ward off economic turmoil, Sir Khwaja was forced to resign. Next came Muhammad Ali Bogra, who was credited with building ties with India and America. But he fell out with Governor General Iskandar Mirza and packed off as ambassador to the US. Chaudhry Muhammad Ali occupied the chair in August 1955, but lasted only 1 year. His downfall, a result of rifts in the Muslim League. His successor was Hussain Shahid Suhrawardi, who headed a coalition government, his Awami League joining hands with the Republican Party. Unable to keep the coalition united, Suhrawardi quit within a year. Pakistan's sixth Prime Minister Ibrahim Ismail Chundrigar served in office for mere 55 days, resigning before a vote of no confidence motion in the Assembly. Sir Feroz Khan Noon, a former High Commissioner of India to Britain before independence, became Prime Minister in December 1957, but with martial law imposed, the post became defunct. Nurul Amin lasted only 13 days as Prime Minister in December 1971. But in that short tenure, had the misfortune of leading a war against India that ended with East Pakistan being sliced off. Amin's resignation on 28 December 1971 was a result of immense pressure from the military on President Yahya Khan. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto became Prime Minister in 1973 and steered the country for 4 years before being deposed in a military coup in July 1977.
मिस्टर भुट्टो की हुकूमत ख़त्म हो चुकी है। सारे मुल्क में मार्शल लॉ नाफिज कर दिया गया है। कौमी और सूबाई असम्बलियाँ तोड़ दी गई हैं। सूबाई गवर्नर और वजीर हटा दिए गए हैं।
Inarguably the most charismatic of Pakistani rulers.
14th or 15th of December 1971. I will not be a party to it. My country hearkens for me. Why should I waste my time here in the Security Council?
Bhutto was imprisoned by General Zia-ul Haq and hanged to death in 1979. Muhammad Khan Junejo served as Prime Minister, but his sour relationship with Zia-ul Haq saw him rule for just about 3 years, beginning 1985. In 1988, Pakistan got its first woman Prime Minister, Benazir Bhutto. Her government was dismissed in 1990. In an ISI-inspired move, she came to power again in 1993.
I would like to thank the honourable members of this House. Indeed, I would like to thank the House for once again reposing confidence in me.
But her government was dismissed over corruption charges in December 1996. In between Benazir's 2 terms, Nawaz Sharif became the 12th Prime Minister of Pakistan in 1990. A businessman turned politician, Nawaz became Prime Minister thrice, for a total of 9 years, but was never able to complete a full term.
I request you all to remain calm and support your armed forces in the re-establishment of order to pave the way for a prosperous future for Pakistan.
Zafarullah Khan Jamali, the first Baloch PM of Pakistan, held office in 2002 after Pervez Musharraf's 1999 military coup. Jamali unexpectedly resigned after 1.5 years and was succeeded by Chaudhry Shujat. A temporary Prime Minister, Shujat was replaced by Shaukat Aziz in 2004. Aziz left office in 2007 when the parliamentary term ended. Then in 2008 came Yusuf Raza Gilani. In 2012, Gilani was disqualified by the Supreme Court for not reopening corruption cases against President Asif Ali Zardari. Raja Parvez Ashraf completed Gilani's term till 2013. Nawaz Sharif came back as Prime Minister for the third time in 2013 and steered Pakistan for 4 years till his impeachment. Shahid Khaqan Abbasi became the 21st Prime Minister of Pakistan and completed Sharif's term. The Prime Minister's chair in Pakistan is a hot seat in the literal sense, and the political curse that a Prime Minister will never keep his post for 5 years continues with Imran Khan.
All right, for more information on that, you could log on to indiatoday.in. You could also download our app for more. For now, it's a wrap on this show, but we're going to continue tracking all those developments coming in from Pakistan. Protests that have been scheduled. Let's see how that pans out. Thank you for watching.